This is the Brewers POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Milwaukee Brewers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Nothing is worse in baseball than seeing your team get walked off into extra innings, and that is exactly what happened tonight to the Milwaukee Brewers in Pittsburgh as they fall to the lowly Pirates by a final score of 6-5 in Game 2 of their 4-game series, now 25-27 on the season. Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Locked On Brewers POSTCAST. My name is Brandon Snide. You can follow me on Twitter at Brandon_Snide, as well as all of my work over at WTMJ.com, covering all of Wisconsin sports, including this frustrating, annoying Milwaukee Brewers team as the roller coaster season. I don't even know if I would call it roller coaster, because at least in a roller coaster, you have some ups. There isn't too many ups right now with this Milwaukee Brewers team as they fall in extra innings in 10 to the Pirates 6-5. Let's get right to the scoring summary brought to you tonight by FanDuel. O'Neal Cruz, and you'll hear his name more than once this evening, homering to center field in the third inning. That would give the Pirates a 1-0 early lead. Brian Reynolds would later walk. McCutchen, Davis, they would score. The sixth inning for the Milwaukee Brewers, it was 2-0 at that point. Hoskins would have a single. Chourio would score. Yelich would go to third. That game would leave it at 2-1 right there in the sixth inning. The seventh inning, Terrain single scores Bowers. That would make it 2-2. If you're the Milwaukee Brewers, and knowing that the offense that they have when you started the game down 2 runs, tying things up at 2 apiece felt pretty good. And then later in that inning, Jackson Chourio with the single to left field, and Monasterio was scored, and the Brewers would take a 3-2 lead. That would live on for about 15 more minutes. Brian Reynolds, who has been a thorn in this team's side, would single to center, would score McCutchen, who had the double earlier, who was on base 4 times tonight. So another thorn in the side for the Milwaukee Brewers. And then it's 3-3 going into the ninth inning, where William Contreras comes to the plate. We had seen him earlier in the week against Baltimore with his 4-hit game, go-ahead RBI single in the ninth inning, and earlier this week. The solo shot to center field gave the Brewers the 4-3 lead. You, again, were feeling pretty good about where they were, because these were the things that we had talked about. This team needed timely hitting. They need to play a little bit better situational baseball. The score is 4-3, and you're feeling good. We mentioned we were going to say O'Neal Cruz's name one more time, and we certainly are, because in the bottom half of the ninth, with 1 out off of Abner Uribe, an absolute rocket to right field, a no-doubter off the bat, would make it 4-4. The game would go into the 10th inning. Collins would have an RBI single to left field. That would score Durbin. Then the Pirates would quickly answer Alex Canario with a single to center. And then the pass ball with guys on second and third after a little bit of controversy at the plate didn't even matter, as Adam Frazier scored on an Abner Uribe wild pitch. And your Milwaukee Brewers lose tonight 6-5, 25-27 on the season. As always, thanks for tuning in to the Locked On Brewers POSTCAST here on YouTube. Your thoughts, your comments, your frustrations, let it air out. We'll begin with Taylor. This is the only game they can afford to lose this series. Disagree. I don't think they could have lost any of these games. I think if this is the game, I said this week, to me, they failed my test that I gave them. It was win 6 out of 7 this week. And I know that could be asking a lot for this team, but that's where we're at right now, right? In the NL Central, that's just where we're going to have to be at when you're, a bottom feeder almost right now outside of the Pirates in the division. Reds playing better, same record as the Brewers. The Cardinals most certainly playing better. The Cubs 8-2 in their last 10. They're playing much better. You needed to have a good week for this, for this Brewers team to at least win 6 out of 7 games. I do agree that, if there was one game against the Pirates that you were going to circle, it would be the one that Paul Skeens pitched in, and he was fantastic tonight. 6 innings pitched, just 1 earned run. But tonight, for me personally, or actually really this week, was that 6 out of 7 to get you back in to the fight. And they're not out of the fight in the National League Central, not by any stretch of the imagination. Right now, they are 6.5 games back from the Chicago Cubs. And again, it is getting to that point of late May. And I did say this when I began this show. Memorial Day was always the first peak for me at the division, and I certainly have done that much earlier than I usually would have this year covering the Brewers. But when you kind of bury yourself in a little bit of a hole, and as we had talked about, this was a week to kind of catch back up. It was an opportunity at least to catch back up with the Baltimore Orioles, who had fired their manager, with the Pittsburgh Pirates, who had fired their manager. And so far, it's not been great. You're 3-2. You still have a couple games to go Saturday and Sunday against the Pirates in Pittsburgh, but a very, very winnable game tonight, and the Brewers let it slip 6-5 against the Pirates, 25-27 on the season. Wade over on YouTube should have won it in the 9th inning. Yeah, I mean, ideally, you want Abner to come in there and lock things down, and he has been fantastic this season. He's been a completely different player than we saw a year ago, especially with his control. And when he can nail that slider down for Abner Uribe, he's lights out. You got to tip your cap there to O'Neal Cruz, who punished the baseball there to tie things up. And after Abner recorded that first out, I thought that that was a good sign, especially for, getting it, not only just getting the out, but, getting to somebody, with an out and not having anybody on base facing O'Neal Cruz. But not really mattering because the Pirates go on to win anyway, 6-5. Ben over on YouTube, as opposed to last year, finding all the ways to lose. This year, they find every way to lose. That's a great point, because that's, we kind of had talked about it last year. Like, the Brewers just did everything right last year. Their offense wasn't a juggernaut, but they pitched really well. They played really good defense. And tonight, Sal Frelick with a key out from right field in that 10th inning proved to not matter, obviously, because of the wild pitch that eventually would go on and win the Pirates the game. But that's a great point that Ben brings up, because you're right. And you don't win 90-plus games without having things go right, even if you're not the most talented or the highest payroll team in Major League Baseball. But that's exactly what this team did last year, and they're failing to do it last year. And it just doesn't seem like there's fun. Like, and I know that's kind of a cliche thing to say, like, have fun, play, it's a game, and go out there and have fun. But like last year we saw that. And I don't know if that's because of the expectations aren't being met with this year's Milwaukee Brewers team. It could be the Willie Adames, ripple effect of going to San Francisco. But it just feels like there's just not any fun. There's no spark. There's no get up. There's nothing that kind of gets them going. I mean, again, I'm not in the clubhouse. I can't speak on the clubhouse. I'm not on the plane rides to and from each city. Just from my point of view, it just seems like this team's it's kind of stale this year. It's kind of stale. Arby over on YouTube as well. Nothing is worse than losing on a wild pitch or a ball. Yeah. And I had some other comment there saying that, should Contreras have picked that last ball? Yes, that should have been caught. And I think William Contreras will tell you that. And I don't want to give him a pass, but I don't think without William Contreras, we're not into the 9th inning, into the 10th inning, with his go-ahead home run. And again, I'm not saying, one thing or the other as far as, letting it slide. I think William Contreras after the game will probably say it's a ball he should have stopped. But again, it's a tough way to lose. It's a tough way to lose because we had talked about how important this week was for this Milwaukee Brewers team, playing teams that were in disarray. We had talked about gaining some ground on the National League Central. You haven't really been able to do that. 3-2 so far this week. And I don't want to sound very negative, is a failure. To me, it's a failure. It's just a failure. That's just my opinion. You should, and I'm not saying sweep every game and win every game. You should have beat Baltimore at home 3 times. You failed in extra innings in that game as well. The Brewers now 1-2 in extra innings for this year. But not only that, but you've failed your bullpen this week. They have the second most pitched innings in 2025 thus far, the Milwaukee Brewers bullpen. So in a week where you were looking at the schedule and thinking, man, this would be a great opportunity for this Milwaukee Brewers team to kind of, again, they're professional. You're going to get your best shot from every team every week, every game. But on the surface, it looked like a week to kind of get, man, maybe we can catch up on the standings. Maybe we can give, some, the bullpen a break here and there. Maybe one or two or three of these games this week, a pitcher can go 7+. And it just hasn't happened. Just hasn't happened. Not the best start from Freddie Peralta tonight. Not a bad start, but not the best stuff from Freddie Peralta as the Brewers lose to the Pirates 6-5. Your reaction pouring in over on YouTube. We will get to all of that. And the thing that you will be talking about tomorrow, and we've kind of already touched the surface on it a little bit. We'll get to all of that as the Brewers fall once again in Pittsburgh. Tonight, this one by a final score of 6-5. Tonight's show is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs in full swing. Eastern Conference Finals, Western Conference Finals going. SGA and OKC up 2-0. The Knicks looking to rebound every night, delivering highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. And FanDuel, they make it super easy for all of you to stay in the game before tip-off and during the game. You got player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays. Fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. Now, if you're out there listening and I tell you that if you give me a $5 bet and it hits and I give you $200, you would probably ask me where to sign. Well, I got that for you. New to FanDuel, perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If that first $5 bet wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. A fantastic offer. Maybe you had SGA winning the MVP. I don't know. Maybe you'll put some money on Jordan Love for the NFL MVP. First $5 bet hits, $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Again, if that first $5 bet hits, you get $200 in bonus bets, and it's super easy. Head to FanDuel.com. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. The Milwaukee Brewers are losing to the Pirates tonight, 6-5. Now 25-27 on the season. And the big sigh for me right there is just more frustration watching this team that I love so very dearly continue to struggle in ways as you guys have mentioned just didn't do last year. And I think you're just too talented this year to be doing, but it just feels like it's one of those years as the Brewers fall to the Pittsburgh Pirates 6-5 in 10 innings. Jamie over on YouTube, can't let a team like the Pirates hang 6 runs on you. Really tough dropping this one. Really, really tough. Yeah. And I appreciate your comment, Jamie. Thanks for always being an everydayer for the Locked On Brewers postcast. When you lose against teams, it's going to happen, obviously, throughout the course of the year. But it's the ways that this team has lost and to who they have lost. This was a break in their schedule. It was. I'm just calling it what it is. It's not disrespecting Baltimore or disrespecting Pittsburgh, but it was an opportunity for this Brewers team to kind of right a little bit of their wrongs in the first 2-ish months of the season. They failed to do that, right? You should have beaten Baltimore 3 out of 3 times. You had an opportunity at home in extra innings against the Baltimore Orioles to sweep that series. You had a fantastic game last night for the Milwaukee Brewers to win game 1 of Pittsburgh, and you had Paul Skeens on the ropes in this one. You chase him out. You made him work all game long. He still threw 6 innings with 1 earned run, but you had an opportunity to win the game where Paul Skeens had started. And I know he hasn't had a decision. He has 5 starts in May, a 2.83 ERA, and he has no decisions. I mean, so it's, again, when you have opportunities in your schedule to take advantage, you have to do it, especially as the Brewers schedule gets tougher and tougher. Cody on YouTube, just the Brewers season in a nutshell. Sad losing to a 17-win team. And the sad thing is for when they lost to Baltimore in game 3 as well, in that embarrassing extra inning performance on Wednesday afternoon at American Family Field. Tonight's the same thing because you had more than one opportunity to put this game away. You had more than one opportunity, but you can't really put a lot of the blame on the bullpen. I mean, they are just taxed. I don't necessarily know if I would have put Abner back out there for the 10th inning. That's what Pat Murphy decided to do. Aaron Ashby was reinstated to the roster this afternoon. So you had a fresh arm in there. Again, hindsight is 2020, right? We can armchair quarterback the decision from manager Pat Murphy. The fact of the matter is, you got to help you. This offense has got to put their team in a better position to in these games. You got to score runs when you have opportunities. And the Brewers' failure to score more than one, especially in the extras, when you got guys on second and third and one out, or first and third with one out, less than 2 outs, you've got to get the ball in play. You've got to start generating some runs. That's what we saw last year. We're just not seeing a lot of situational hitting this year for this Milwaukee Brewers team. Drum and every dayer of the Locked On Brewers postcast. We can't keep being mid. This team needs to decide if they are sellers or buyers. And I said this a couple of weeks ago, and I still stand by this. We will know by mid-June. Like, I know that's not like, you're like probably thinking like, well, yeah, probably, duh. Their schedule after Pittsburgh is brutal. It's brutal. And so we're going to know where this team is by June, because they have the Cubs, they have the Cardinals, they have the Phillies, they have the Boston Red Sox, they have the San Diego Padres. So it's a brutal schedule. You're 6.5 games out as it stands right now. I also had a few people, kind of scoff and laugh that, and within 2 weeks, it could be double digits in the National League Central. I hope it's not, but it very well could be. And that's a big thing. Wade also on YouTube, difference between this year and last, the bullpen. Yeah. And it also doesn't help that their bullpen has been completely overworked. Like I mentioned it. It's the second most innings pitched this year throughout Major League Baseball so far in 2025, the second most innings pitched. You got to be able to look. I know there's a lot of analytics, there's a lot of studies, there's a lot of numbers games going into the starting pitching, but if your starting pitchers are constantly going 5 or 4 2/3, 3 1/3 the other last weekend against Minnesota, over time, it's going to wear. And it's only May 23rd. So it's going to get worse and worse as the season goes on. These starters got to step up as well. The bullpen is not blameless in this situation either, as Abner Uribe throws a wild pitch, and the Brewers will take the loss tonight, 6-5 to the Pittsburgh Pirates, now 25-27 on the season. Your reaction still being poured in. We're getting to all of it as Jordan over on YouTube. The bullpen has been taxed, but pull Abner, put Ashby, and we can't afford to keep losing these games. They did show fight tonight, but after the 9th, the air was let out of the balloon. Yeah, I kind of mentioned that too. I don't know. I'm curious to see what the reasoning was. Maybe, you don't want Ashby going in a high leverage situation right off of the 60-day IL where he's coming off of that. That's possible. That's kind of what I'm assuming. I don't know, but I thought Abner going back out there after he gave a knee-level fastball to O'Neal Cruz that was just punished to tie the game up in the 9th inning. I thought they might have gone in a different direction. There's been a couple moves, throughout the course of this week, and really the 2 losses, because those are the things that we're going to highlight the most, obviously, and always talk about. But Yoel Payamps on Wednesday, and I know he was DFA'd from the Brewers, but putting him in there instead of Grant Anderson in that Game 3 against the Orioles was a question that I had at the time. So I'm not really sure exactly the thought process behind that. And again, Pat Murphy knows a heck of a lot more about baseball and his team than I do. I personally would have just probably went in a different direction. And again, maybe it could have been too. And you guys know Murphy, if you follow this Milwaukee Brewers team, he saw Abner Uribe give up that home run to O'Neal Cruz. Maybe he was looking at Abner like, hey, mistake made, go back out there and rectify it, shut this inning down. The Brewers had the 4-3 lead going in to the bottom of the 11th. The bottom of the 10th. They lose that lead. They tie it up, and then obviously they walk it off as the Brewers fall to the Pirates tonight, 6-5. A very, very frustrating loss. Anytime you get walked off, it's a frustrating loss. But when it's a wild pitch and it's kind of your own mistakes and failure to score runs when needed and when opportunities presented themselves makes it even more frustrating. We'll see if they can turn it around tomorrow in Game 3 against the Pirates. My thanks to each and every one of you for always tuning in and making the Locked On Brewers postcast and podcast your first listen each and every day. I greatly, greatly appreciate each and every one of you. And also, real quick, before we go, it is Memorial Day weekend. Take the moment to show your appreciation for the fallen soldiers who have given their lives for this country. It's the greatest country in the world. And without them, we wouldn't be here talking about the Brewers, even though it's a 6-5 loss. As always, my name is Brandon Snide. You can follow me on Twitter at Brandon_Snide and hit that subscribe button. You can follow the Locked On Brewers podcast wherever you get audio, Apple, Google, Spotify. But to make it all really simple, you can just hit the subscribe button here on the Locked On Brewers postcast, and we will get you caught up after each game. As the Brewers lose 6-5 tonight, we'll try to turn it around tomorrow. And as always, win, lose, or draw, it is always go Brewers.